So, OpenAI just dropped some big news that if you're a developer, you're definitely going to want to hear. They've expanded the GPT 5.4 family. Today, we're going to break down exactly what these new mini and nano models mean for your projects, your speed, and yeah, your wallet. Okay, let's get into it. Right, so we all know the flagship, GPT 5.4. This is the beast. It's the model that smashed records on all those crazy benchmarks. It's that top-tier, high-reasoning engine you throw your most complex problems at. It's our baseline for what state-of-the-art really means. But here's the question, right? Is that massive model always the right tool for the job? For a whole lot of tasks, using a giant frontier model is kind of like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It works, for sure, but it's not always the smartest choice when you think about speed and especially cost. And that is exactly where this new announcement fits in. On March 17, 2026, OpenAI officially rolled out GPT 5.4 Mini and GPT 5.4 Nano. Now, these aren't trying to be new frontier models. Think of them as the efficiency wing of the family, built from the ground up to be faster, cheaper, and laser-focused on specific kinds of jobs. So, which one do you pick? Well, OpenAI has been super clear about what they're for. You can think of Mini as your versatile, multi-talented specialist. It's perfect for complex but contained jobs, like debugging a tricky piece of code or figuring out what's going on in a screenshot. Nano, though, that's your high-speed assembly line worker. It's built for that repetitive, high-volume stuff, classifying thousands of data points, pulling out names and dates, and doing it incredibly fast. So let's get down to the brass tacks, the reason this is such a big deal for developers. It really all comes down to a massive leap in efficiency. We're talking about getting way more performance for every single dollar you spend and for every second of latency your users have to sit through. Okay, now this table is where it gets really, really interesting. Just look at that first column, SW Bench Pro. That's a key coding benchmark. GPT 5.4 Mini hits 54.4%, which is unbelievably close to the full GPT 5.4's 57.7%. But now look down at the old GPT-5 Mini. It's not even close. The new Mini absolutely demolishes it. This isn't some small incremental update. It's a huge jump in what a smaller, more efficient model can actually do. And this chart just makes that point crystal clear. You can visually see just how tiny that performance gap is between the big flagship model and the new Mini on this super important coding test. You're getting almost all the power, but at a fraction of the cost and wait time. That's a trade-off pretty much any developer would take in a heartbeat. And it's not just about writing code either. When it comes to computer-use tasks, things that involve looking at UIs and screenshots, Mini is, again, right on the heels of the full GPT 5.4. This makes it an absolute powerhouse for any multimodal apps that need to understand images in real time. Look, don't just take my word for it. Industry partners are seeing this in the wild. Abbas Sharma, the CTO over at Hebbia, says that Mini delivers amazing performance and even better source citation than the larger model, all while costing way less. That's a huge real-world stamp of approval. All right, now this is probably the most strategic part of the whole announcement. This isn't just OpenAI dropping a couple of cheaper models. It's about enabling a totally new way to build AI systems, something they're calling the sub-agent architecture. So what on earth is a sub-agent? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a smaller, specialized AI that takes its orders from a bigger, smarter orchestrator model. It's designed to do one specific thing, do it super fast, and do it on the cheap. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a project manager with their team. You would never have your senior project manager, that's your GPT 5.4, go and do every single little task themselves. No way. They plan the project and then delegate all the smaller jobs to a team of efficient specialists. In this case, a bunch of GPT 5.4 mini models who can all work at the same time. And this is how that whole manager and specialist thing works in the real world. First, the big brain, the GPT 5.4 orchestrator, plans the whole thing out and breaks a complex problem down into bite-sized pieces. Then, it delegates those little subtasks to a team of mini subagents. The minis all execute their jobs quickly and, this is the key part, in parallel, which is where you get this huge speed boost. Finally, the main orchestrator takes all those finished pieces and puts them together into one final polished result. And the results of working this way? They're pretty incredible. Joey Wang at Harvey said that using this exact pattern cut their early development time by up to 50%.
That is a ridiculous productivity gain. It just frees up engineers to stop worrying about the small stuff and focus on what really matters: system design and architecture.
Okay, so you're sold. You want to try them. Where can you actually get your hands on these models? Let's talk practicalities. So Mini is pretty much everywhere. You can call it from the API, you can use it inside the Codex platform, and it's even the engine behind the thinking feature for ChatGPT free and Go users. Nano, on the other hand, is strictly an API-only model, and that really doubles down on its role as a pure infrastructure piece for your high-volume pipelines.
All right, let's talk numbers. The numbers that really count. For GPT 5.4 Mini, the price is just 75 cents for every million input tokens. To give you some perspective, for a model that performs this close to the top-of-the-line flagship, that is an incredibly aggressive, really compelling price.
But wait, because it gets even crazier. GPT 5.4 Nano drops that price all the way down to an astonishing 20 cents per million input tokens. That kind of price drop completely changes the math on running big, high-throughput tasks. All of a sudden, those data extraction pipelines that were maybe too expensive to run at scale, they are absolutely back on the table.
So, let's pull all of this together into a nice, clean takeaway. What should you, as a developer, actually go and do with all this information, like right now? It really just boils down to this one simple question. Based on what you're trying to build, what's the right tool for your specific job? So here's your playbook. First, if you're using older models for targeted tasks like debugging, your default move should be to upgrade to Mini. It's a no-brainer. Second, if you have any high-volume, cost-sensitive job hitting an API, you should be spinning up an evaluation of Nano today. Third, if you're building on Codex, it is time to start refactoring to use this new orchestrator sub-agent pattern. And one last little technical thing, these models use something called tool search. So if you're moving from an older system, just double-check that your integration can handle it so you don't run into any surprises.
And all of this leaves us with one final fascinating thought. This whole release, it's not really about two new models. It's about a fundamental shift in how we build things. So the real question to chew on is this. Are we looking at the future of software development? A future that's built not by one single giant AI, but by coordinated armies of small, fast, and highly specialized agents.